Hello, everybody. Welcome to the bonus show. I am Tim here today with Lance. Lance, what's going on today?
I'm so excited because we're finally doing a bonus show again. We used to call this the subscription show. That's a bit of a mouthful. It's a little chewy in the mouth, as you'd probably understand. So this is called the bonus show, and we're doing it live because we love engaging with our listeners. And we're just going to refresh YouTube here just to make sure that we're live. Up.
We sure are, I believe.
We sure are.
Scheduled for... Okay.
Scheduled today at 10:19.
Okay, well, that's right now.
Waiting for missing podcast. Well, we're waiting for you, YouTube.
So weird. What happened was... the other one that we just streamed is there as a 26-second video, so I don't know.
So like there's a little bit of a delay, it seems.
It's almost like we have to end this for it to go live. This is stupid.
This is weird.
Oh, okay. No, I think we're live. Okay. No, we are live now. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, takes a minute over here. All right. We'll cut that. Okay. Welcome to the bonus show. We are gonna we're hoping to do this bi-weekly, Lance.
Yes.
And so the bonus show is a breakdown of some of the episodes we've just released and a little bit of a tease of some of the upcoming episodes. But we basically, we enjoy talking about these stories and these interviews that we have. So we kind of just want to talk about it more and want to interact with you. So that's what the bonus show is. And we have premium services now. On your podcast feed, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to our premium service. You can subscribe on Spotify as well. That can take you to Patreon. If you try it through Missing, it might take you to Supercast. That's fine. You can subscribe there too. You can also subscribe on YouTube to be our member. And so I think these are going to be eventually member-only live shows on YouTube, and these are going to not hit the public feed every week. Not every time we do them. They are going to be as a part of the premium services that we're offering, and this is our bonus show. Probably going to be bi-weekly, Lance.
Right, at least bi-weekly, but we might throw in one midweek if there's something breaking in the true crime community, because we do work on a lot of true crime current events. So if anything does break, we'll use this opportunity to inform our listeners on that. But yeah, several different ways to get our subscription service, our bonus show. And we've just been kind of working through it. I mean, it feels like it should have been easy, but it's not, folks. We have two shows. We want to take bonus episodes. We want to do early releases, and we want to do it through video. It doesn't seem like it should have been as difficult as it was, but it seems like we're a unique case. But anyway, cast the net, and you'll probably find somewhere to subscribe to our bonus content.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces with it. Yeah, I mean, each outlet has its own version, basically, of a premium service. So we're trying to offer in services that everyone is, already using. Or if you're a YouTube user, you're probably going to want to subscribe to the membership on YouTube. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, that's one of the most clear ways to subscribe right there through Apple Podcasts, and you get Crawlspace and Missing all ad-free through Apple Podcasts. Actually, they're early releases on Apple Podcasts as well. That's one of the things we've been working through and haven't really figured out yet, is how to make them early releases through Patreon that then sync up with the public release, if that makes sense to anyone. I don't know, but that's how it works through Apple. You upload it early through Apple, and then when the public release comes out, there's not two, there's just one. And you can listen ad-free if you're a premium member, and you can listen to the public version that has ads, for free. So
you did just say something that was interesting. You said that if you're a YouTube user, Apple user, Spotify user, what we wanted to do is make sure that we weren't forcing people into one platform that they're not comfortable with. Like, only go to this one. So we're trying to open it up to as many different tastes when it comes to user preferences.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so on this live bonus show today, we are going to be talking a little bit about Sunshine Stewart, the paddleboarder who was murdered at Crawford Pond in Maine, in the state of Maine. And of course, we've been covering this story of the New England serial killer, real or not, whatever it may be. It's sort of a cultural phenomenon, maybe a social media creation, I think, at this point for the most part. But then sometimes you get murders. This was a very mysterious case, and there is some news in it, and we are going to talk more about that after the commercial break here, though. But Lance, do you want to, should we mention this this session that we're doing at CrimeCon 2025 in Denver in September?
Yes, absolutely. We are honored to be joined for this session by the great Joseph Scott Morgan, who is a distinguished, and I use that word very seriously, he is a distinguished scholar of applied forensics at Jacksonville State University, and he's a superstar. This is somebody who we haven't spoken with, and we will be remedying that situation at CrimeCon. We'll probably have him on the show on Missing and or Crawlspace prior to CrimeCon, but we were so excited when the organizers of CrimeCon said, hey, let's put you in touch with this guy. Let's make the introduction, because we think a conversation between you two and him about this cultural phenomenon that is the New England serial killer myth or urban legend at this point would be a perfect session for people to check out. So I know CrimeCon sent out the email blast that had that information on there, but it's going to be a good time. And if you haven't signed up for CrimeCon yet and you are considering doing so, perhaps this will be one of your deciding factors. You can get 10% off using code Crawlspace at checkout. 10% off your standard badge using code Crawlspace at your checkout on crimecon.com. So hopefully We'll see everybody there. Hey, I don't even mind. Don't use the code. Just come to CrimeCon and check us out.
Yeah. Say hi to us there. We'll be there all weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's break quick for commercial here, and we'll be right back to discuss this story of Sunshine Stewart and an arrest that was just made.
And a thank you to our sponsors. Back to the program.
Okay, Lance, we are back after the commercial to speak here on the bonus show. And now the New England serial killer is something we've been following very closely. And just last week, we released an episode on both Crawlspace and Missing about the murder of paddleboarder Sunshine Stewart. And this is a story that was very confusing, especially at first, and I will say I'm still confused. But where my confusion lay was she was on a paddleboard, and then she was apparently found murdered. So I couldn't figure out how it happened. And Lance, there is some news out that broke just yesterday, I believe, that the Maine State Police have arrested a 17-year-old Maine resident for the murder of Sunshine Stewart. Is that wild or what?
It's wild, and it's also not very surprising, and it's a bit relieving because we did not want this to turn into something that remained unsolved for months and months, turning into years, to those old stories that we hear now, and we've been hearing for years about cases that go cold so fast. So this was really good news. It's a tragedy. It happened at the beginning of July, and this is about 2 weeks or so later, where they've apprehended somebody. I don't want to say that this person is guilty, but they've apprehended this person in connection to her murder. They've released the cause of death, which was blunt force trauma to the head and strangulation. So this seems like a fight. It seems like she wasn't going down without a fight. And by all accounts, we have spoken about her on the show, and she is a very was a very capable individual. She worked on lobster boats. She was a marine biologist. She was a very outdoorsy person, experienced paddleboarder, not somebody who probably goes down lightly if there's some physical altercation. So blunt force trauma, strangulation. The 17-year-old managed to complete the act of murder on this poor individual, on Sunshine Stewart. But that's just part of the mystery that's been kind of figured out at this point. I mean, they've apprehended this person. How this all went down is really still going to be interesting moving forward. The 100-acre island that is on Crawford Pond is only accessible by boat or paddleboard or some sort of water vessel. So the person was either waiting for somebody there or she surprised him there, and maybe they were hiding out or something, and something ensued, or the person followed her there. Maybe the person swam. I have no idea, but that's where all of the confusion still lies. Belinda, hello. Belinda just typed a nice message to us. Hi, great to catch a live.
Very nice.
Watch on YouTube Belinda. From Australia. Well, good day, mate.
I wanted to read a little bit here from People magazine. Her body was found under unusual circumstances, is the quote from ABC News, citing officials familiar with the investigation. So I don't know what that means. But again, we've kind of talked about how, well, she was seen paddleboarding and then she was murdered. So did that murder occur on some kind of paddleboard or some kind of boat, or did it happen on the island? You know, it's a little confusing at this point, but it was 10:30 p.m. on Wednesday night, just 2 nights ago, local time, that Maine State Police arrested him, this 17-year-old male, in connection with the homicide investigation. And he was taken into custody without incident. So he wasn't fighting it. And he was transported to the Long Creek Youth Development Center in South Portland. Wow. Yeah. It's just kind of shocking that someone as young as 17 could have been responsible for this. And then I'm just so confused. There doesn't seem to be a motive. It doesn't seem to be anyone who knew Sunshine Stewart. And there is a GoFundMe that was set up to celebrate Sunny's life, and it had raised over $33,000 as of today.
So way to step up, everybody, for that GoFundMe and for that family, because, again, by all accounts, this is a woman who had really strong ties to her family. Her sister Kim speaks about her in such glowing light that it really is apparent how much of a loss this is for the family. So again, way to step up on that GoFundMe, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to take in more contributions to celebrate her life that was cut short, so violently and tragically.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Sunshine Stewart's sister, Kim Ware, is quoted as calling her sister the world's best bartender, lobsterman, and boat captain, as well as being the strongest person she knew who would give you the shirt off her back. So, yeah, tragic story there. And just perplexing how a 17-year-old boy could or would do this. It's just kind of shocking.
I mean, there has to be some sort of emotional disability, some sort of disorder here. I don't know, because there's a lot of rage that goes into a crime like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm going to pop the GoFundMe link here, pop that on the screen.
Okay, great. And Lance, part of what we want to do here on these bonus shows is speak about some of the interviews and episodes that we've recently produced and published. A couple of them on Crawlspace in the past week were excellent, in my opinion. We spoke with serial killer profiler Phil Chalmers, and he is a 40-year veteran of interviewing serial killers in prison. So you can imagine that comes with a lot of knowledge. He's really kind of doing some of the work that John Douglas and some of those older FBI folks did, the people who coined the term serial killer: Ann Burgess, Robert Ressler, Roy Hazelwood, those folks. And of course, a lot of our listeners are familiar with the show Mindhunter that, dramatized that era of crime fighting. And so Phil is kind of from the new school, even though he's been doing it so long. So he kind of has these factoids and these what he calls myths that have come up through the initial research into serial killers from those guys like Douglas, like Ann Burgess, and those ones that we just mentioned. So he goes through myths and really facts that they created that he finds to be not as credible anymore. And some of that has to do with like cause of death, and perpetrator and victims and things like that. And so Phil is very researched. He has gone through a lot of data about serial killers. And so it was a great conversation with him. He's so knowledgeable, and he wrote a book called Speaking Truth to Evil that I really enjoyed. It's got some safety tips in there. Lance, one of the things that I picked up, and this is kind of like one of those things that is like almost like common sense that but doesn't go into your conscious brain all the time. But he says dogs are actually the biggest serial killer deterrent, more than alarm systems and like having a gun in your house. It's actually dogs.
That makes sense, because if someone's breaking into your house, I mean, they're probably good serial killer deterrents as well as just home invaders. I mean, that's just a ruckus. That is a ruckus that the person who's breaking in doesn't want. So get yourself a dog, people. Treat them well and know that they're only there to protect you from serial killers. I just popped the... I'm going to pop the link here for Phil Chalmers' book, Speaking Truth to Evil, through Wild Blue Press on the screen here. I loved this conversation. I loved how he made me feel uneasy. He's a great guy, but he made me feel uneasy right from the jump. He has a detached retina, unfortunately, during this conversation, which made his eyes two different colors. So when I first saw him, I had to go to old pictures of him and wonder to myself, was this something that has always been there and I didn't notice? And it wasn't, but he told us during the conversation that he had this detached retina, and it's like, is it painful? Can you see out of it? And he's like, yes and no. So he was having this conversation with us with this eye condition and powering through it. He was also in the middle of moving and didn't have like a real sense of like where to go to have this conversation. But we end up talking about this stuff, and it was so interesting. And the other thing that he made me feel uneasy about, and that's just what I love about doing this show and having these guests on, is that we need to talk about what he was talking about, breaking these myths and actually bringing up statistics. Like, we never talk about African-American serial killers. We never talk about black men or black women who perpetrate these crimes as well. And he has a whole database that has statistics on that. And it's not because, in his words, and I know when people say, I'm not racist, but, you think like, well, you're just saying that to cover it up. But he's
You're about
not.
To say something racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're prefacing your very racist statement that's about to come up. But he's not. He's looking at the totality of communities and what is happening in a community that's right off of a highway, for example, that has truck stops and major highways with semis that are transporting goods that are driven by people who are possibly serial killers. So that's one scenario, right? Inner city neighborhoods. It's all about more of like, where are we coming from and what are we doing in these communities, in these sections of this country that is generating the types of people that will do that. And we just never seem to talk about a black serial killer and look at that community. And he even said, like, I'm worried about that little girl who is going to be a victim. I don't care what color the perpetrator is. I'm worried about the person in the way of this person who's going to kill them. So it's about human life, not about
So that's
color.
Yeah, that's where it comes from for Phil. He comes.
Yeah.
It comes from the victims that don't get enough media coverage.
Yeah.
And if most serial killers, I believe this is in the book as well. Like if a black serial killer is killing people, more often than not, he kills black victims. Same thing is true with a white serial killer. So that's why this is an important topic. Just off the top of my head, Samuel Little, of course, he's a well-known serial killer. Stuart Weldon, we've talked about a little bit. So it's not many. And then there was the Stockton serial killer, who I know we made some social videos about. I don't know if we ever talked about him on the podcast. He was arrested. He was a shooter. That's the other part of these myths, is that gunfire is the most common form of being killed by a serial killer these days. A lot of this research comes from Radford College as well. I don't know if that's a college or university down in Virginia. Really cool psychology program that these professors actually kind of task the students with doing all this. They actually come up with an annual serial killer report on victims, on perpetrators, on how these victims are murdered and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting because let's get the information. Let's get the data.
Yeah.
Let's, break that down, because that's only going to go even further into us trying to figure out why people do what they do. And let's have those uncomfortable conversations. Let's not exclude people from conversations if they have an opinion that might make you shift in your chair a little bit. Yeah. If they do, and if they're wrong, they're wrong. But you need to hear every angle and make your own critically decided opinion formulate in your own head, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just have the conversation, because you never know. You never know what sort of revelations are going to come. But I'm pretty sure that Mike Morford's here, saying that we're slackers. That's offensive and a bit insulting.
I was wondering who called us slackers. How are we slackers? We're on a live show.
True crime guy. Here we go. Yeah. Two minutes are slackers.
What's up, Morph? Mike
Morph suffered a loss recently.
He did?
The loss of his Crawlspace mug.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got one here. This is look familiar, Morph? Right here.
I got the alternative version here. It's a little bigger.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, we'll see Morph at CrimeCon, and we will get him his replacement mug at CrimeCon. Unless, maybe we'll mail it to him, but yeah. So anyway, 10% off your standard badge at CrimeCon.
Yeah, so make sure to check out that episode with Phil Chalmers. Excellent conversation with a real professional serial killer profiler, and just has an awful lot of knowledge in that subject.
And we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program.
I love doing these live shows because Ross hops on, and yes, let's get into info and data on the A-frame house. Why didn't the police test the knife Mr. Murray sent in?
So
we can't get away from that.
So Ross is talking about the Maura Murray case, and Lance, some of our S has a Crawlspace pen, fantastic. So a lot of our listeners may not know, but we actually launched the Missing Maura Murray podcast 10 years ago and 2 days ago. We intended to do this bonus show on Wednesday, but things got a little too busy with the editing schedule. But we wanted to do this show on our 10-year podversary, but we did not. So we have been going for 10 years and 2 days. Our first episode of Missing Maura Murray came out 10 years ago, July 16th, 2015. And I did want to have some video ready for that, but I couldn't pull it together in time for this.
That's too bad.
I have to dig through an old drive to find it, but I can find it probably after this live show.
We can describe it. We can do a reenactment of it if you want.
We'll find it. We'll find it for the maybe for next time or something. But yeah, very, very cool. So quite a milestone for us over here. And so we covered the case of the disappearance of Maura Murray for years and years. We produced about 140 or so episodes on the case. Our initial project was called Missing Maura Murray. That then was rebranded to this show called Missing, and then we launched a new feed called Missing Maura Murray that includes all the episodes. So you can still get the entity titled Missing Maura Murray on your podcast app, or if you're on YouTube, you can just scroll back to the early days of this show on YouTube and find all of those episodes there. But it's been several years since we've actually covered the case at this point, really. So I don't know. I'm a little behind on some of the new stuff that has taken place in that case, Lance.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been like significant breaking news in Maura's disappearance, but Julie Murray has really picked up the gauntlet over the past few years and taken charge of how people are going to be perceiving her sister's disappearance moving forward, and not in any other way other than like, hey, I got to get a handle on this, because at one point it was out of control. And it still gets out of control, just like any one of these cold cases gets out of control, because people do have their opinions on it, and then a lot of time is spent trying to disprove an invented opinion. But Julie really has done an amazing job, and she has joined forces with other people who have family members in cold cases that remain a mystery in this true crime, podcasting universe. And we did. We even hiked to the UMass cabin.
We did. We even hiked up on top of Mount Carrigan.
Yep, Mount Carrigan.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever hiked a mountain.
Yep, and last.
Summited, as they call it, right?
Yep.
And let me just say, piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
Goddamn piece of cake. It's
Could
like
have done it 2 more times.
A walk in the woods. That's all it is.
Yep. A leisurely stroll. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, the walk up was not bad. It was a lot of fun. The walk down was pretty terrible. And then the next day, everyone's knees were very sore from that walk down, I think. But I'm not quite sure exactly.
Sore?
But it was like an amazing pain. Everyone had the same knee pain the next day.
Yeah, it was like your patella was about to just pop off. It was it was insane.
Our ACLs got more work than ever on that hike.
Oh my God, everybody was just like hobbling at the end. And keep in mind, folks, this was shot for television. This was on a TV show. We had a TV crew carrying cameras and audio equipment and lighting equipment and drones. This is not easy. Yeah, but we found a few trees.
Let's talk about this latest release of Missing that we put out yesterday. It is about the disappearance of Jennifer Markham from Denver, Colorado in 2003, February 16th, 2003. Her car was found near the Denver airport, and she has never been located. In this episode, though, we went over the incredibly complicated story of Jennifer's disappearance that really kind of widens out into a story of actually 4 disappearances, including Jennifer, but also a serial killer. A serial killer, a con man, and an FBI confidential informant. So it's a wild story. His name is Scott Kimball. He was an FBI informant after being caught grifting, basically, in Alaska. And so it seems like he was a con man first, and then he was a serial killer. But it's hard to tell when his murder spree really began, because he could have been killing people before this time period that we cover in this episode, but we just don't know. He does have anywhere from 4 to about 50 victims. He's got at least 4.
Yeah, and including a vicious attack on his nephew,
son Justin.
Right? Oh, sorry, yeah, a vicious attack on his son Justin when he hit him in the head with they were in the back digging yards, and he hit him in the head with what was it?
It's like a 200 or 300 pound cattle grate. So it's like a huge gate. Yeah.
Yeah. Hit him in the head with that. And then on the way to the hospital, he tries to push him out of the car. And there's just like that haunting statement from Justin saying that he felt his father's hands. He remembers it because he felt like the warm hands on his face, like trying to push him out of the car. This guy's a absolute psychopath.
Absolute monster. And I say he's a con man first because I think he was conning people probably before he was murdering people, but ultimately his goals tended to be financial. In the story of his son Justin, he was apparently fishing around for a life insurance payment. So he would have gotten $50,000 had Justin died in that incident.
It's not even a lot of money.
I know, right? But so in this larger story of Jennifer Markham's disappearance, there are several investigators that kind of converge on the story because there are more than one missing person, as we discussed. Casey McLeod was one investigation, one missing person that was being investigated. There was this attempted murder of his son, Justin, and there were financial crimes that were being investigated. And then there was Jennifer Markham's disappearance. So there were 4 investigations happening, and then they all essentially collided, and law enforcement understood that they're dealing with this very dangerous person who is not only a con man, but a very likely serial killer. And turns out he was also an FBI informant, which is probably, some of the craziest shit I've ever heard.
I know, just throw that on top of the mix.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of hate that part of it because I feel like there's, I hate all of it, frankly, but there's such a distrust in some of these agencies today, especially like these last 10 years. And a story like this doesn't help at all. In fact, it does the opposite. Like a legitimate serial killer was on the FBI's payroll. He wasn't an agent, but he was a criminal confidential informant. And in the episode, we do play some clips from the FBI Denver sort of speaking about this and saying how they did change protocol after this as far as dealing with informants goes, because there's no other way to put it, but this was like a huge failure of the FBI in letting this guy be right under their noses and paid by the U.S. government, and is killing these people. And he was throwing off the agent that he was working with, that it was his contact. And that agent actually believed him for a period of time until these other investigations kind of all converged.
Yeah, a failure. Just a failure, or a gross ignorance of information. Are they trading it off for what he's giving them and, ignoring certain things that they know to be true based on information coming in from other investigations? But yeah, just like real nasty stuff that's going on in this guy's life. And I got a little confused when I said that he tried to kill his nephew and it was his son. I was confused because he killed his uncle. He was the nephew. He killed his Uncle Terry.
Yes, he did. He killed Uncle Terry.
Yeah. Killed Uncle Terry, killed Casey McLeod, probably. I mean, can we say that he killed Jennifer Markham?
Yeah, we can say that he killed Jennifer Markham. He was found guilty of murdering her in second degree, and Leanne Emery as well. So there's 4 victims. So Uncle Terry actually came to stay with them after Justin was injured. And apparently he had just been divorced and had, I guess, some money. And so that motive was financial as well. Scott Kimball basically, I guess, hiked with his uncle up above the Vail ski resort, and then that's where he murdered him. I'm guessing he shot him because he shot Leanne Emery, and I'm not sure about the cause of death on Casey McLeod, but I'm guessing he probably shot Uncle Terry. But Uncle Terry was there to help. And then he murdered him, stole his money, and came up with the story that he met a stripper and won the lottery and moved to Mexico. And actually, Casey McLeod's mom, Lori, believed the story for a period of time. She also believed that Scott didn't have anything to do with her daughter's disappearance for a period of time, until, she understood what happened. She didn't have great things to say about Uncle Terry, but still, he was a murder victim here. He came to help with his injured nephew, and or I guess great nephew, and was murdered by a serial killer.
Jeez, we talk about so many disgusting people. We talk about so many disgusting people, and this guy is right up there in the top of the echelon with disgusting monsters that we discuss. Because, my God, his son, his family members, and then just these young women, and definitely these aren't the only ones.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, there is a couple more that you can find that he is kind of suspected in, but these 4 he did plead guilty to second-degree murder for, and he did lead investigators to locate 2 of them intentionally. It seems like they located Casey McLeod not necessarily because Scott Kimball showed them exactly where she was, but almost by happenstance.
Yeah.
And then he really led investigators on a wild goose chase in locating Jennifer Markham's body. And in fact, they still have not located Jennifer Markham's body. And so he was supposed to lead them to her, and he has not. And it was only looking for days out of prison, essentially, when he was trying to lead them there, or, pretending to try to lead them there. So terrible situation. But if you've got any information in the disappearance of Jennifer Lynn Markham, please contact the FBI Denver field office, and you can submit a tip that way.
Yeah, and he's still alive, incarcerated, so hopefully no glitches in the legal system befall him.
And he looks like more evil than ever. Now, if you see some of the more recent photos of him, his eyes look just black. His it looks like the pupils have overtaken the rest of his eye. Without not counting the white part of his eye, but I don't know, that evil just emanates from this guy, especially in these later pictures, because in these earlier pictures he actually looks like a normal guy. But in the later pictures in prison, he looks evil. I will say, I don't mind using that word.
No, and actually, one of our guests on a recent episode, Bobby Taghavi, used the word evil in describing his encounter with Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, because he was on the task force that helped apprehend Joseph DeAngelo. And in our conversation with Bobby Taghavi, he was very forthcoming in saying that he had no other way to put it, that there was nothing there behind this guy's eyes other than evil, and he had no other explanation. He's just can't tell you anything more, guys. This was just evil.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to put it sometimes. So this guy, just a little bit more on this, Scott Kimball was in prison for financial crimes when he met Jennifer Markham's boyfriend. He was actually cellmates with Jennifer Markham's boyfriend, Steve Ennis. And Kimball was released before Ennis, and those two had spoken in prison about helping Jennifer launch a coffee shop, a coffee and sandwich shop. So that was her goal. She wanted to launch a coffee shop. They were apparently going to travel to Seattle, I guess, for research purposes, and as far as the coffee industry goes. I'm not 100% sure on why they were planning to travel to Seattle, but it seems like that was why. And they never made it. So he was lying to her. Scott Kimball was lying to her about going to Seattle with her and helping her. And he was lying to Steve Ennis about getting out and helping her. He had always, I'm sure, planned on killing her and probably stealing her money or whatever he could.
Terrible person. Definitely not a coffee entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely not. So make sure to listen to that episode on Missing. Just came out yesterday. A lot of clips from Dateline 2020, some other outlets. Really interesting stuff. It's a I don't know. The story, it widens out as it goes. So that's why we kind of need to include some other sources there. And that Bobby Taghavi episode, Lance, just aired on Wednesday on Crawlspace. So you want to check that out. That is an excellent conversation as well. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor.
And a thank you to our sponsors. Back to the program.
And Lance, we do have a couple of teases we want to mention, some upcoming episodes. On Missing, we have the disappearance of Heather Elvis that we are going to speak about with filmmaker Michael Bayer, who made a movie, a 3-part documentary called Vanished, the Heather Elvis story. And Heather Elvis went missing. And this is actually a little bit similar to what we're talking about with the Scott Kimball situation, because there were people who were arrested for kidnapping in this story. And I don't want to give too much away because I do want you to listen to these episodes. They are really compelling. So should be out Sunday and Monday on Missing, 2 parts on the Heather Elvis disappearance. So make sure to check those out, and check out the docuseries Vanished. Actually, I believe that'll be available on Tubi. I think today. Should be out today on Tubi. Yeah. And Lance, we are replaying a 2-part episode that is a really, really entertaining and interesting, I would say. Spooky, mysterious too, but it's about the Jackie Hernandez haunting.
Yeah, this is coming from the Crawlspace Classic Collection, something that we aired in March of 2023, 2 parts. We had the great Christy Arnhart on. She was doing the research on all of this, and there was a documentary that was made about this as well that we take clips from, but it's really us going through the story of Jackie Hernandez, who in 1989 was allegedly terrorized by spirits in her home, and she invited a film crew in, and you can see the activities that are happening, and it's really some of the best evidence. I don't want to say evidence like I'm coming from
hard evidence.
Right, and I'm coming from a skeptical position here, but it's hard to look at this footage and hear her story and not think something was happening. I mean, it really, revisiting this conversation was putting chills on the back of my neck here. It is a really, really creepy story. And I'd love to just get a shout out to Jackie herself. Like, she's out there somewhere. She's laying low. She really doesn't do a lot of interviews since she hasn't done a lot of interviews for several years now. I don't know if it just got too much for her, but I mean, this was up there with like Amityville, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, only Amityville was completely fake.
Right. I like how you called this an alleged haunting, as if the
right, as if there's proven ones.
Jackie for defamation.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm so used to saying that, though.
I know, right? Yeah, it's good to say. Make sure to cover your bases in this
every
realm or
single
the next.
time. Yep.
But yeah, it is a really spooky story. Definitely seems like there was something going on there, and I'm skeptical too. But this one, as well as being entertaining, is spooky.
Yeah, and I'm just going to put an unknown encounter in the on the screen here. That's the documentary that was made about this.
Great.
Let's pop this on the screen. So, an unknown encounter. That's the IMDb page, and from there you can see where to watch. But yeah, check out the episodes on Jackie Hernandez that we produce if you want to do like a little truncated version of everything and get our opinions on it. But yeah, allegedly.
Very fun. Yeah, very fun stuff. And then our next Crawlspace new episode is going to be with author Courtney Lund O'Neil from this book, Postmortem: What Survives the John Wayne Gacy Murders. Really, really great book. I loved this book.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll see your book, and I'll raise you a second one.
What? You got 2? Oh my God.
I don't know why I got 2. I loved it so much.
But yeah, really great story about Rob Peast, who disappeared and was one of John Wayne Gacy's victims, but he was a friend and friendly, and he was a coworker, Rob, that is, with Courtney Lund O'Neil, the author of this book, her mom. So her mom actually was one of the more integral parts of unraveling the murders of John Wayne Gacy. And you'll see what we mean if you check out the book and in the conversation, because it really came down to a piece of paper, Lance, a piece of paper kind of just, what's the word? Serendipitously left in the pocket of Rob's coat. And it actually identified him as one of Gacy's victims and unraveled the entire case. Yes. And the book is really, really cool. Courtney Lund O'Neil goes back, retraces her mom's steps in this story, and they kind of, go through all the emotions all over again. And it's really excellent book. It's I would call it true crime adjacent. Yeah,
true crime memoir is what she was articulating. True crime memoir. And it's a very personal story. And you're right, serendipitous is a great way to describe how that one receipt in the jacket pocket of Rob unraveled everything. And that was because her mother had put that receipt in his pocket when she was wearing it because it was so cold out, even inside the pharmacy where they worked. She needed a jacket, and it just so happened that she put that receipt in there. Rob takes the jacket to go with this guy, and that receipt's found at this guy's property. And that is a incredible statement and endorsement for the prosecution, because that could have been turned into like, you can't prove that. That receipt could have been, he could have picked that up off the ground and put it in his own pocket because he was cleaning up litter. He was cleaning up trash. But that receipt was the key. And that young woman, her mom at the time, was brave enough to go up there, take the stand, and point directly at John Wayne Gacy and say, that's the guy. It's a powerful story. Very powerful. Yeah, great part in the book too, when going through the trial there. And so a piece of paper, this receipt, and in the disappearance of Casey McLeod, also a receipt, little piece of paper, led to finding her body, essentially, because we mentioned that she was kind of found by happenstance, not because Scott Kimball brought authorities right there, but they found her because of a receipt as well, and that told them, gave them a better area to search. So yeah, amazing. Big shout out to investigators. Who the hell keeps a receipt? Yeah. These receipts that like, what do you like, I don't know, maybe it was a thing like a while ago or something, but no, I'm out of the store before that receipt's even like finished printing. I mean, yeah, for most things, I'll just throw the receipt away if I get one on the way out of the store. Usually, it's in the trash on the way out. Yep. Right. So yeah, big shout out there. Save your receipts. Maybe they'll keep you safer. Get a dog. That'll definitely keep you safer. Dog. Yep. Jackie asks, how do you guys go about getting people on your show? Oh, great question. Yeah, great question. Well, we work a lot with publicists if we have authors on, and Wild Blue Press is a great publication, and they're very good at sending us upcoming material. Here's a writer that is a former prosecutor who's writing a story about this particular case, and we'd love to get people like that on. We also have friends who are in this network of ours who might have a guest on their show, and we'll, exchange information. Sometimes we just get emails out of the blue, especially for missing. We get emails out of the blue. Like today, we have an email about some poor person whose mother was probably murdered in a fire, or covered up with a fire. So people reach out to us through our website. They have amazing stories, and really anything we can do to get their voice on the show, we try to do. But it comes to us in various ways. Yeah. All right. Well, that is the bonus show, Lance. We didn't get into anything personal here today, but no, we tried to keep it to 45 minutes, but we're at 50 now. Yeah, we got to go. We got to cut this. Yeah. I mean, usually to give people more of a tease on like what the bonus show is, we had a lot to cover today. We've had so many episodes in the past couple of weeks that we needed to cover it all, but we do try to get into some personal stories that peel back the curtain. Pull back the curtain a little bit.
Pull back the curtain. That's right.
Pull back the curtain. Peel back the layers, and you can really get into the insider scoop of our lives, or at least what we'll allow you to get into.
Well, we're pretty transparent on
on
these shows. Yeah. So.
Like the next time, maybe I'll tell a personal story about how my dog broke his tooth, and then he needed dental surgery, and then they said the bone was into his nasal passage. And then they said that he had a cyst in his throat. So they had to biopsy that. Yeah. Poor guy. He's okay, though.
Good. All right. Yes. Yeah. And as Belinda says, everyone, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And yes, we will be back very soon with another bonus show. Hey, subscribe. Become one of our members on YouTube. Become a premium subscriber on Spotify or Apple. However you like to do that. There are many options of how to do that. So.
Yeah. And if you subscribe on YouTube, maybe we could arrange something just especially for Ross here, who just wants to talk about Maura Murray, which we'd be happy to do. We'd be happy to just rehash some stuff for, half hour or so, bring people up to speed. Yeah, and maybe we'll be brought up to speed, and we can revisit some old information and get some new information. But we're not going to start new rumors.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks a lot for listening. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next time.